Hello peeps, Dragonknight here, bringing you another Elder Scrolls Online video. 2 months and 10 days after the official release, I thought to myself, well, how about I do an state of the game, is the game worth buying video, because Cinemax Online Studio obviously lowered the price for the game by quite a big margin. To answer the first question, is the game worth buying? Well, if you get a good deal like 20 or 30 bucks and you're just an Elder Scrolls fan and you just want to play the story once, yes, it is. It has an epic story. Yes, it is kind of Elder Scrollish feeling in the game. No, it won't have single-player game graphics. That's not the case. But if you just love the lore, if you just, want to visit places, new places, want to experience like the story evolving, this is a really cool and epic part. So yeah, I'd suggest, get the game. Careful though, because you will need a valid credit card number or bank account to activate the 30-day free game time that comes with the package. What I'm doing here is using my veteran rank 12 Nightblade's research timers, because this will be my crafting char. So soonish I'll switch to my dragonknight I'm playing right now and doing a dungeon run, so hope you enjoy the visuals. Now, to quickly summarize the state of the Elder Scrolls Online, I'd say it is a game of huge potential without actually delivering. And the game can't deliver because the game is not ready yet. It's obvious that the game was pushed out way too early, let's say rough estimation about a year. I think I need to rephrase that, because content-wise, this game has more content than other MMO titles after their first expansion. Gameplay-wise, this game feels like playing an early alpha version. Okay, maybe that was a little exaggerated, but yeah, let's start with the good stuff first, okay? So what is great about this game? Well, obviously the graphics and art department had a lot of time. For an MMO, this thing looks stunningly epic. Sound-wise, excellent, love it. Atmosphere, everything, it's where it should be, what you would expect from an Elder Scrolls game. And then we already are at the buts. The next great thing I love about this game is the crafting system. For an MMO, this is totally gorgeous. They kept their promise of saying the best items in the game have to be crafted items made by players. Awesome. But with like pretty much everything in this game, it is like there is this awesome concept, but then it has kind of a twist. Because you don't need the damn crafting system while leveling, you just need it when you are max level. Everything else would be waste of materials. Because all the time while playing, you are getting thrown at with items. So there is no need to craft. Sad story. Best crafting system, and it's worthless until you hit endgame. The next thing that really sounds cool is this dynamic combat system. Everybody has to move, and while being on the move, you are able to cast your abilities. And you have to move because you have to like get out of, area of effect, stuff like that. This thing has two essential flaws. The first is it does not work with first person. If you don't play in third person, you are not aware of all the shit that's going on and you'll get your ass kicked. The second flaw is a dynamic combat system essentially requires a responsive client, a not sluggish, a performing gameplay. ESO lacks this, period. This is why I refer it to the whole combat system as being in an alpha state. Never before I have experienced a game being released in such a catastrophic state combat system wise. For PvE, this means you are playing with a laggy client and the NPCs are not having this issue. For example, there is this mechanic of interrupting spells, so you could interrupt healers. Only problem is when your client actually shows the opponent healer healing, he did that for quite a while already, because your client lags behind. That's why kill healer first is first priorities throughout the game. You'll learn that the hard way. So let's keep in mind that in ESO you often have to fight the game or the game lag or the unresponsive combat system, which is not a big issue while leveling up through the main story, but it becomes a big issue in other parts of the game. Okay, let's come to something else I really love, which is the questing system in ESO. For those of you who have played a lot of MMOs, you might remember those get me 10 wolf pelts and bring them to NPC whomever, right? Quests. Or fight X amount of that kind of NPCs, right? There are hardly any of such quests in ESO, let's put it that way. Most of the quests in ESO are story driven. You are really sucked in. It's really an immersive experience and they really did an awesome job on it. Until you hit veteran rank content, which is basically we want to reuse the content we did for the other two alliance and we want you to play the entire thing and we force you to play the entire thing because otherwise you are not allowed to progress any further. Thing is, they did not have the gratitude of rewriting some of that stuff. So you are still referred to as the soulless one and you are still not acknowledged for any stuff you did already. Which in some cases really immersion breaking. For example, when as being a Aldmeri Dominion player, you are running into Almalexia and she is like a mortal who gained divine powers through, well, you know, history, yada yada yada. Then she goes like, yeah, I need help from a mortal. And you go like, yeah, whatever, tell me what to do. And she goes like, yeah, you need to do this and that. And then you go, yeah, no problem. And then she goes like, yeah, but you're not worthy yet. I kicked the real god's butt. So basically, they created all this epic, immersion, deep, rich content, like for the main story, just to like shatter it when you are trying to play the veteran content. Because you have to actually fight your own people and all the pride you developed, all the story like actually makes you like kind of adore your faction leader, kind of. Like you know their motives, you know why, and you know like, and then you have to do the same stuff for another faction and you go like, I don't want to do this stuff. It just ruins the entire thing. That's my point of view. Another really thing on paper would be this whole mega server thing. I mean, basically I love the idea of playing together with my friends. Awesome. But, well, let's start first with the PvP thing, okay? So, Dark Age of Camelot, most people know I'm a big fan, or was a big fan of the game. Because there was this faction pride. Because every server had their server status. So, every server would know how the actual status of the relics is in the frontier zone. So if, for example, there was this raid like doing Tuesday and getting the enemy relics, yada yada yada, basically you develop the pride of being part of that raid or not, right? With the mega server, there are several different campaigns. You don't even know who is in your campaign and who is not. So this whole pride thing went overboard. Not present in the game. Next, in Europe, we have 3 different languages: German, English and French. So everybody is going to use the zone chat for advertising their wares. And their items they are posting appear in their language on your screen. Seriously? That is considered release candidate? Next, if we talk about channels, everything happens in zone chat. Why? Because there is no trade chat. Like trade chat for a city, most likely, as it is worked out in other MMOs. Like you enter a city and you enter this city's trade chat, right? Or a looking for group chat. Look, guys, I don't care how sophisticated your group finder freaking tool is, right? I don't care. I want to talk to people. I want to just, hey, I found this world boss. Would somebody like to join me? I want to type that, and then I want some human to respond to me, right? It is supposed to be a social experience. It's an MMO, right? I hate your group finder tool. Not only because it's not properly working, like if I check I don't care if I should tank or heal or DPS, it puts me in a group with 3 Nightblades and I'm supposed to tank and heal at the same time. I don't care, right? But I don't want it. I want to have the social interaction with people. Even better, I finally had a social experience with somebody in my group, right? And I think, oh, this is a really cool guy. I would like to buddy him, right? So I right-click on his name in my chat window, and the buddy option is not there. Actually, I don't care where it is. I don't care what you think how your game should be used. I expected it there, and it is not there. Of course, there is an option to do this. You could hold down a button and then there would come up the circle thing where you would have select an option, right? Problem is players don't hold still. So they just walk out of your crosshair and everything's grayed out. Next, the auction house. So there is no global auction house in the game, which is kind of cool. Because they said like, yeah, but then you have those guilds which could become trading guilds. And then theoretically, there could be this trade of buying low in one guild and selling it higher in the other trading guild, right? 500 people fit into those and you can have up to 5 guilds. Okay, so just recently, they added their trials. Now I'm in guilds with about 2,000 people. And then, they made it like, without giving you any option of shutting it off, they found it funny to inform you whenever one of your freaking, quote, guild buddies, quote, finished one of their trials. Okay, and then the auction house itself, like in the guild store, you can't even search. there is no search, like a field where I can put like the name of a rune and then click enter. Not present. It's not there yet. I mean, World of Warcraft started with all this social stuff from day one. As you can see, there is this ongoing pattern of they had a cool idea, a cool concept, and then they managed to screw it up. Okay, now I would have way more examples about why the game is not ready yet. But I'd finally come to something which is really important for, well, maybe most players. What you are seeing now is a progress blocking bug from the main quest line, which made it into release and was not fixed within the first month. I included this footage just to show you how slow some bug fixing actually is at Cinemax Online Studios, because the only thing they would have to do was to increase the range of this freaking spell to light up those braziers in the wall thingies. The force brazier is out of reach, so people ran around there naked, hundreds of them, trying to do this parkour thing to finally, while falling into their certain death, trying to reach that brazier and light it up, just to advance. Okay, so now let's talk about balance. And I would not refer to it as class balance. I would refer to it as skill system balance. The thing is, if you have such a laggy client-server communication thing, crowd control is able to negate these effects. So classes which have a lot of crowd control won't feel this lag too much in PvE, as classes which lack crowd control abilities. Funnily, the one class which in other games is the one gifted with all the crowd control totally lacks it in ESO. In order for a Nightblade to apply a stun, it has to re-stealth, and the re-stealth costs it a lot of magicka just to get into stealth to reapply its stun, whereas other classes just have either Stone Fist, Crystal Shard or Javelin. A Nightblade has to use 2 abilities in succession to do the same thing, gain control over the enemy. They are now trying to change some numbers, totally ignoring that changing numbers only make sense after you've figured out your protocols and made the game responsive. Also, changing numbers only make sense if you are able to apply all of their abilities and if you basically fixed all abilities. I mean, what worse is changing numbers if most of the abilities do not work as intended? So they are trying to make the third step before the first and the second, and I assume most likely they just change some numbers just to please the crowd. So, to make us shut up. Why are Magicka builds so strong? Class abilities are Magicka. Staffs are Magicka, this is why it's called the Elder Staffs Online meanwhile. And light armor gives everything a Magicka user could ask for. Defense and offense. Regeneration, cost reduction, spell crit, spell resistance, and spell penetration. Compare this to the other two armor types, then you will see that all those goodies are split up between heavy and medium armor. Like heavy armor, for example, increases damage a little, medium armor increases or has the regeneration stuff. The size of your Magicka pool also influences how much damage you do with those abilities, so it makes totally sense just to focus on this one resource. It does not make sense to change anything before the whole combat system is not fluid and responsive. But then, in order to not being the Elder Staffs Online, they might have to scrap the entire skill system and start from scratch. Of course, while delivering new content every 4 to 6 weeks. Combine this information with the speed they are fixing bugs right now. Well, my estimation is the game will be a really cool game in about mid-2015 and not earlier. This may sound devastating now, but I want to give you a reason why ESO is worth keeping an eye on it. The reason is, as I've been told, the Elder Scrolls Online does not utilize TCP as network protocol. It's based on UDP as network protocol. So what does it mean? Well, every other MMO made sure with all their battlegrounds and stuff that all the people are spread out on the server and are not bulked on one place, because they knew that their network protocol could not uphold all those people. Cinemax wants big epic battles, so they were looking for a way to enable us doing such big battles. And if that means abandoning a kind of standard quote protocol, that's what they did. It is a brave move, it is a bold move. The difference between those two protocols is TCP has mechanisms in place which ensure that there is no package loss, which means all the information is exchanged between client and server, and it has timecodes which ensure that all the packages can be rearranged in the order they were sent. So basically a hit you do with the left weapon will be, you know, in the right order after the right weapon, yada yada yada. UDP does not have any of such security stuff. What they have to do is they have to build such stuff on the raw protocol. But UDP, lacking this security stuff, provides speed. And the speed is what they aimed for, because they want all those people in one zone. Basically, they are game developers, right? And now they have to do a way more basic fundamental job. This is like asking a web programmer to do some driver programming for a sound card or something like that. Also, game studios, they have their tools, but their tools also assume that certain protocols are in order, in effect. Now, if they are not, this is why this whole combat system is so messed up right now. Anyway, if they once have fixed this, ESO might be the only game which is able to provide those real epic battles. And this is the time then when they really also should have a look into the skill system in order to go away from the Elder Staffs Online. Then I'd say this game is really worth the money, because then it should really be a great experience. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you like it, leave a like, spread the word. See you next time. Bye guys.